Benji, what's that on your face?
Well, this is my Josiah stash.
Is this a protest? Is this like I'll wear it as long as you think yours is good?
Oh gosh, no. Like I'd be wearing it into eternity. Like, you're way. That's me punishing myself.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
so
like,
do you not because I wouldn't mind it if you liked it, but for some reason it sounds like you're just doing it out of spite.
No, it's not spiteful. It was I was shaving today, and I shaved from the outside in.
Right.
And I got to the stash and I said, well, I'm about to record in 20 minutes, so I guess I'll just leave it just because I want to see your face.
Hey, it looks good.
You look good.
I know I do.
Anyways. Yeah. Oh, are you upset because now you're not unique? Maybe I should keep it.
No. I'm upset because you don't like it and you're wearing it just because, us mustache brothers have to stand up for each other.
I'm pretty sure the first time you wore it, you were just doing it just to do it. And then when everybody was like, that's awful, you were like, well, now I have to keep it.
See, there's the thing. Not everybody said that's awful. Only a select few.
I'm pretty sure 99% of people said it was awful.
Even if they were thinking it, they didn't say it.
Yeah.
And the difference was, here's the thing. Most people go out of their way to say they like a mustache as opposed to saying they don't. More people go out of their way to say they like them. If there is a percentage of people who speak about the mustache at all, more will say that they like it than will say that they don't like it.
That's like when people come up to you and go, I just want you to know I really like black people. And you're like, you know what? I didn't think you didn't until you just said it. It's like a thing. Ask a black person. It's like a thing. It's not a thing.
Wow.
Let's get this started.
What an intro to our episode. Yeah, let's get it started.
I'm Josiah Rizzo.
I'm Benji Jones.
And on Wednesdays, we wear pig.
Welcome back to the Pink Popcast, a pop culture podcast.
Oh, yeah. See, not so easy, is it?
Yeah, but
let's try it again.
I can get it on the first time after messing it up.
Okay, try it.
Ready, set, go. Welcome back to the Pink Popcast, a pop culture podcast where we talk about our experiences with film, media,
and everything else.
Today.
No. And the impact it's leaving or has left on our generation.
And the impact it is leaving or has left on our generation.
Today... No, actually, we changed it because now we introduce ourselves, remember?
I'm Benji Jones. I am an actor, a model, and a stylist to the stars. Prove me wrong.
And I'm just Rizzo, a writer, director, filmmaker. Yeah.
There we go.
And today we are talking about the 2000 film. It feels weird to say 2000. The 2000 film. The 2000 film. Remember the Titans. Do you?
Wow.
Remember the Titans?
That was 2000?
Yes. In the year 2000.
What song is
Sorry,
that?
it's fine. Don't
is
think
that
too much.
Okay. Wow, no. I just remember watching it in school a lot.
That was 20 years ago.
Okay, in honor of Black
Wait,
History Month.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, they definitely played that in school.
20 years ago.
Oh, for 2000?
Are you joking my ass?
What? I'm confused.
That movie is 20 years old?
Yeah, I thought it was older.
Oh my God. I didn't think about that, dude. That movie was 20 years old.
Yeah, when did you think it was newer than that?
No, I mean, I know it was old, but I just didn't think that it was 20 years old.
This isn't blowing my mind right now.
I don't know why it's blowing my mind. Like, there's certain films I remember as being old, and I just always thought, like, yeah, no, I saw that one. Like,
yeah.
I thought I saw it when I was a teenager. Shoot, man.
No way. Well, see, I knew I saw it very young. Like, I was surprised it wasn't older. When you said 2000, I thought it was like 95. Honestly.
Yeah, no, it was, the 2000 film, Remember the Titans, starring Denzel Washington and Will Patton.
And Ryan Gosling.
And Ryan Gosling.
And Lil Hayden Pantier.
As the cutest little bigot this side of the Mississippi.
She wasn't a bigot.
She was passionate.
She was a Lilith.
She was something. Yeah, so we thought in honor of Black History Month, this is the only one you get. We would
God. Did you mention what's it? Did you
Oh,
say his name?
well, yeah, no, I didn't. Donald Faison.
And starring also Donald Faison. Is that all the people that we should really know off the top?
Yeah, I would say so. There's
think
other
so.
Ethan Suplee from he's the big guy from
Oh, the big guy from
My
Corey
Name
in
is
the
Earl?
House. Corey, Boy Meets World. There it is.
he was in Boy Meets World.
Yeah, he was one of the bullies.
Really? The guy
Mhm.
from My Name is Earl,
I don't know, the big guy.
the white one.
Yeah, who's jacked now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, he was a bully.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he always.
Well, no, he was a sweet bully. So like there was 3 of them, and the other 2. Well, the one was like the bad boy, and then the 2 of them were his lackeys, and one of them was like, "Yeah, give it that." What
Oh,
he
yeah,
said.
yeah.
And then he was just like, "I don't believe in violence, but he said that you were blah blah blah, so I have to do this. I apologize." And then he like stuffed him in a locker or something.
Oh, that's funny. Boy Meets World.
Yeah,
I wish I would have gotten into that show, but we're not going to digress. I can't edit.
No, but I didn't.
20 minutes out of this.
I didn't like it either. I just rewatched it after watching Girl Meets World.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we thought we'd talk about this. It was one of the first films. We both seem to really like this. Like, I mentioned
I
it.
don't know a person who doesn't like this movie.
Really?
Because if they don't, obviously,
They're racist.
they're racist.
I mean, I'm always just, there's certain films I'm surprised when you go, oh, no, I like that. I'm like, really? Because,
Yeah.
like, I was shocked that I liked this film because I wasn't really big into sports films growing
Yeah.
up.
Well, I feel like most films outside of things that are very like trashy, like
Right.
cheesy films or like stupid musicals, if I say that I like them, you're like, what? You
True.
have different interests.
That's true.
You are a complex human being. No.
No, I definitely, I was shocked that you liked it as much as you did because I
Mhm.
thought I was going to say, and I thought you'd just be like, yeah,
Yeah, no. It's a great movie. Like even as a kid, I just always like it's a fun story because it's not a football movie because obviously like I'm not a big fan of sports either.
Mhm.
So it's like it definitely the story transcends the football.
Mm-hmm. Did you see it in theaters?
No, I saw it in school over and over again.
Oh, so for those who haven't seen this movie yet, Remember the Titans was released on September 29th, 2000. It was produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. It was directed by somebody who Boaz Yakin, who I've never heard of.
Joe Boaz.
It's starring Denzel Washington as Coach William. Is it Herman? Sorry, Coach Herman Boone, who becomes the coach at an integrated school.
Recently integrated
school, and he replaces the head coach that they already had, who is Bill Yost. I think that's Bill Yost.
Something like that, probably.
Anyway, and then of course he brings his no nonsense attitude to the field.
Yep.
And quickly the black players who think that they just have an easy in,
Because the coach is black. He
shows them, nah, that's not how it's gonna happen.
He's
We're gonna get together. We're gonna know each other, and those who can play will play.
Yep.
And
No
then
favoritism.
the team gets together. They become firm friends.
Well-
Racism is ended, and the world is better. The
They
end.
just kind of got on the team. They did their thing, and the movie's over. I was like, "You're skipping over a lot. A lot happened."
That's how I felt watching the film, though. They were just like, I hate black people. And it was like, man, black people are all right.
I'm locked in a room with one. I guess we're friends now. This is how white people talk. By the way.
I know. But yeah, my dad took us to see the film, and I wasn't bored, which was a shocker for
I'm
me.
truly amazed.
I think it might have been the editing or just the fact that, like, even as a kid, I went, yeah, Denzel Washington's a good actor.
I mean, yeah, he's captivating. Like, the whole story is very interesting.
So the story is based on things that really happened, although
I like that instead of based on a true story, you said it's based on things that happened because there's only a certain amount of things
My
in that movie
God, it was like
that are actually true.
I was reading like a list of like 19 things that were untrue about it, from things where like, oh yeah, that character completely didn't exist, to bigger stuff where it was like, and here's a big one. Schools were actually integrated. Let's see, what was the exact year? I wrote it down here, but like schools weren't integrated. They were actually integrated years before. Like I think it's 65.
What year was this one?
It takes place in 71, but that school had already been integrated before.
But I mean, a lot of schools tried integration and then had to pull back. Like that's what happened to my mom's school, and then a lot of them just refused to integrate until way later. So that is still possible.
Mm-hmm.
Unless in the movie they're trying to say that this is the first school to integrate.
They were saying this school, it was the first time. So
The first time in that state
yeah, okay,
movie.
so I was right. So it was TC. So this is this is a article labeled
An article.
and what did I say?
A article.
This is an article named 19 Lies in Disney's Remember the Titans by Mike Goodpaster of thegruelingtruth.com. Was T.C. Williams High School integrated in 1971? No. T.C. Williams High was integrated in 1965.
Oh, you're saying the actual school. I see. what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying.
no, the
Okay,
actual school.
I see.
So lies.
Lies.
Also, they like to play it off as if every other team was white.
Still, yeah, white.
And it was like, no, there were other schools that were clear. Like, by the time this happened in 1971, schools had already been integrating. So they already had, like, black players on football teams. So it wasn't like a shocker.
It was like a shocker for that school. But that's it. Not the city, not the country, not the state.
Apparently, there weren't many racial tensions on the team. You know, it's funny. We probably should have like asked somebody who knows about this real event because that would have been fun, wouldn't it?
Well, who would have known about it?
My dad.
Was he there? Did he go to that?
No, my dad
live in
said-
that state.
You know, contrary to to just the two of us, there are people out there who really like sports stuff and history.
But this is like a high school football team. Like nobody knows high school football.
Oh, my dad would know the history of it.
Call him.
Right now?
Yeah, call him.
On
It's
the
your dad.
Where's my phone?
Wake up, nigga!
If my dad picks up, he's on the podcast.
This is your one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow.
This opportunity
comes once in a lifetime. You better.
My dad's gonna be like, "This is not the way I wanted it to happen."
This
but
not like this. Not like this. Let's
it's a very different podcast we're doing today.
I mean, we're getting our
Can you hear this?
call in.
Hello.
Hey, Dad. First time caller, long time listener. You're on the Pink Popcast right now.
We've got a
Are you kidding me?
pop quiz for you.
Okay.
So right now, Benji and I are discussing the 2000 film Remember the Titans.
Okay.
Do you remember the Titans?
I mean, remember some of the movie.
Do you remember the actual the story behind what the movie was based on? Are you familiar with that
Yes.
story?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
But like,
Yes.
okay, go.
Benji didn't believe that you would know something as small as high school football. Tell me why you would know.
Because I love high school football. I coached it. I filmed it. I love high school football.
All
I really
right.
got it. I was an athletic director. Are you kidding?
And
So does he know because of the movie or because?
do you know
he
because
was
of the
already
movie?
following?
Did you know before? Did you know because of the cultural
I
significance?
didn't know the movie. I didn't know about the story before the movie. No. But once the movie came out, it was about desegregating a high school. What used to be an all-white high school, and they gave the head coaching job to a black man and made the head coach of that school become the assistant coach. So,
Yikes!
well, it was in real life. It was a new high school, and they combined kind of some kids from one school with another.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, there was a lot. We were just talking about the liberties that they took with the story.
Anything
Yeah,
to say, caller?
there were some, but at the end of the story about the truth, those guys did stay together as coaches and as friends for a long time.
And racism was ended.
Yeah.
On that very field, on that very team.
All right. Well, you kind of proved us both right and me wrong. Us both wrong and right at the
Yeah,
same time.
exactly.
So thank you, Dad. That was your one chance to be on the Pink Popcast. No, we'll of course have you soon, but just wanted to talk to you. We were talking about how neither of us knows sports stuff, so this should be a fun episode.
Yeah, so if you ever dive into the world of sports in movies or TV, I'm your man.
Hey, we're gonna have you on for Rudy. How's that sound?
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Benji's just like, I don't know that film. Love you, Dad.
Love you too.
Tell Mom I love her.
Easy.
Bye, love ya.
Love you. Bye.
All right. Well, that's the end of our podcast.
Bye, Dad. Love ya. It's stars.
Like I said goodbye. I said good day, sir.
I said good day, Daddy.
So here's the thing. These movies, these types of films, the
Let's
glories.
go. Destroy our beautiful story, Rizzo.
Well, no. Actually, here's the thing. So every time, like, okay, last year, Green Book won as the best picture of the year. And a lot of people were just like, really? That film? Because it was just the same. We're in the year last year was 2019, and it's just like at a certain point you're like, yeah, we get it. Racism bad. And that's like the story that these films usually tell.
Yeah.
And it's usually not more complex than that. And by the end of the film, everything's solved by a handshake, some team building sports, and
they make it appear as if everything is solved.
Right. And it's like it's wrapped up in a nice little bow, and you're just like, man, how could we ever have been so mean? Like, that was it. Like, it just was a few nasty words, some bricks through some windows, and after that everything was pretty la-di-da, and you just only had a few bad apples that needed to be taught a good lesson.
And then everybody else was fine and just waiting for time to change.
So it's just like it's this oversimplistic view that Hollywood likes to say with these films. I don't know. Is it the type of thing that you even think about, like, when you watch, or do you just like generally not care about these types of films?
No, I like maybe not these types of films. When there's a good one like this one, I definitely enjoy it. I know that there is only so much that they can show and do in a certain span of time, and you can really only focus on one story. It's kind of like I guess maybe the story of Rudy, where it's like, oh, like he worked really hard and he got this moment on the field, but what does that really do for his life or the world?
Right.
It's like, oh, we're making it to where this is a big epic buildup, but what did he really do? Not to be rude, but like actually, or like a lot of movies I used to watch as a kid, like in Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, where the whole movie is aspiring towards basically her being in the school play, and you're like, that was nothing. Like, as a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, she won at life. Like, her life is set
right
now. And you're like, no. Or like Superstar, where it's like where she just, like,
I love how in comparing the conquering of racism, we went to Confessions.
But I mean, like, it's like what you're saying, basically, where they're like, this story is made out to be this, like, oh, we did all of this work and we, like, did it. We're there. And it's like, if you just pull the scope back a little bit and see that this one story was a triumph, but also there's a lot more work and a lot more hill climbing to be done, then it's kind of like you realize that wasn't all.
That's not all that it.
That's not all that there is.
So here's the thing. These types of films nowadays, you're just like, I think, I can't remember what year it was, but the one about Jackie Robinson, 42, which I also saw, it was a good movie. It starred Chadwick Boseman as Jackie Robinson. Came out in 2013, and that was, of course, about the first black baseball player.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was in 2013. It had like Harrison Ford playing Branch Rickey, who got him onto the team. It starred, what was his name? Alan Tudyk as Ben Chapman, who I guess was the coach. Oh my God, my dad's gonna be murdering me. He's like slowly dying inside listening to me.
Why was he not on this, by the way?
I don't know, because I didn't think about it. I didn't. But you had this like this coach who was on the opposing team, and he's just like being this complete, in the film of 42, being this complete asshole racist, just like shouting out like really, but it's cartoonishly so. It's like the type of racist that like everyone can look at each other and go, well, we're not that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And in real life, like that was an exaggeration of what happened in real life. Like these types of films, which the more recent they are, it's easy for us to look and be like, guys, it's not that black and white.
Yeah.
Pun intended. Where it's like racists evil and non-racists good, and like all the black people are just these like kind, loving souls, and there's like the nice white people who are, they might be a little misguided, but at the end of the day, they
got a good heart.
They got a good heart. They might say things like, "Don't you like fried chicken?" and like,
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
which is what happened in Green Book. Like Viggo Mortensen's character, who's like this racist
Yeah.
Italian, teaches Mahershala Ali's character about like, you haven't tried fried chicken before?
You'll love it.
And it's like, you'll love it because the implication is like all black people love fried chicken.
Yeah. When
And
the
then-
truth is, all people like fried chicken. Let's just be honest, okay?
Except for vegans.
Vegans would love fried chicken.
It's true because we make our fake fried chicken sandwiches because we're like, damn it, this still tastes good.
Okay.
But it's like they blow things up to cartoonish proportions where you're just like, you have this thought in the back of your head where you go, man, how could we ever have been like that?
Yeah.
And then when the film's over and all the white people have learned their lesson and all the black people have learned that white people aren't that bad, you're just like, you have this like feeling in your heart where it's like, oh, no, that's nice, which is okay
Where
if
it's
it's like
like-
one or two films.
Yeah.
But like when every film is doing that, you're just like, okay, yeah, racism's not that easily solved, guys.
Yeah, where it just gives you the feeling of, oh, it's taken care of. We're good now. And it's like, oh, we got a lot of work to do. But I mean, that's where we are now, where it's like it was back then, and originally it was just fighting those big battles of like, I'm a human.
Right.
And then like now it's just making those fine-tuned little details
Right.
of like, hey, don't.
Yeah, you said something really interesting while
Do
we we're
that.
watching, and before I get to that, I just want to say to your point, yes, knowing that about films nowadays, okay, we need to be a little bit more mature and a little bit more. There needs to be more subtext and a little more complexities. It's not that simple. But rewatching this film, I was still just like, it was still good. Like,
Of course, yeah.
we don't need to be remaking films like this nowadays. We need to be a little bit more complex. But like rewatching it, there are some things that you just kind of roll your eyes at. You're like, okay, yeah, like, I mean, like the way they always have like I highly doubt Will Patton's character, the coach, Coach Bill Yost, like I highly doubt he was that cool with everything. Like just
I mean, maybe he was. Like, they weren't the first integrated team.
it's true.
You know? So
It's just when you know real life, you know that it's not that
it's
you
not
might say that black
yeah,
and white.
It's not that black. It's not like I'm cool with everything. But there was that moment where he got mad at the end when like his daughter was over, when the dude threw a brick through
That was so good.
the black coach's window, and he was like, you like the way you are is like endangering my daughter, and he's all like, bitch, my daughters are in danger every day, and he kind of realizes that privilege of like, oh wow,
Yeah,
that was,
honestly, that line, I was like, shit.
yeah.
That was pretty good for a film even back in 2000 where it was just like,
I feel like 2000 wasn't that. It was 20 years ago,
It's
but
20
it
years ago.
wasn't that regressively long ago racially. Like, I feel like you're just like, for 2000, they were pretty progressive.
what I'm
and
saying is because like a lot of those films, the way they portray racism and the way it's just very like Hallmark, like the way they deal with it.
Yeah.
Like all the white people, they're like, they treat it like every racist is just a good person waiting to have one like small moment, is
Like-
one small moment away from fixing all of their issues.
I see that. I
And
agree
so
there.
it's like they never deal with the really complex aspects of being like
In
of
the systemic system.
yeah, the systemic racism. There you go. The systemic racism.
Yeah.
They never really deal with. It's just more of like racism bad. No, we like black people now. You
We're
know,
gonna-
like
yeah, you taught us better. Now we can treat you right. And it's like, no, it's set up so that doesn't happen.
Right.
Basically. So that's what people are working on now. That's like Queen and Slim is like a good example of like a current kind of one where they kind of tackle like the not racism, but kind of the
yeah,
and because we're black, this situation is extra bad for us.
right. And the thing about that is like you'll start to notice nowadays like the films that are really exploring like the stories of racism. A film that I don't know if you saw, but it was called On If Beale Street Could Talk, which was about a young black couple who, they get together, they get pregnant. One of them the girl gets pregnant.
Oh
But
my
then
goodness,
he
I was
gets-
wondering.
He gets arrested for like I believe possession charges.
Mm.
And then it's them dealing with their relationship while he's in prison. But the films nowadays that are dealing and tackling racism, they're starting to lean more towards, having a full cast of black characters,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to being like sprinkling in the black actors with a ton of white faces that make us feel. And I say us because honestly, I grew up pretty privileged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I'm tan, but like I barely got any stares at a Walmart. So it's the type of films that make us feel comfortable. Like the films in the 2000s and the films like Green Book, they're made to where we can watch them and we don't have to deal with the nastiness. We're like, oh, we're not like that racist.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, we're not yelling the N-word on the field. Like there's like this disconnect where we can go like, yeah, we're not like that.
Yeah.
So we're okay, right?
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to deal with like the more difficult aspects of racism, which was a movie that I just saw. I don't know if you saw Just Mercy.
No.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
It was difficult because they really leaned into a lot of the aspects that a black man would have to deal with every single day.
Yeah.
And it just was uncomfortable because you're just like, it didn't give you kind of like this. I mean, yeah, Brie Larson's character, she was like the nice ally, but I don't know. It just still was like,
It didn't give you that break of like, oh, well, that's awful. I would never do that.
yeah,
It just constantly, it's like, oh, those little things that like nobody thinks about or considers that like this person has to deal with all the time.
yeah. I mean, assuming like, I don't know. I guess I should ask you this before, but is there something that like you feel films don't accurately portray about your experience, or just like small things that like I would
Well,
never think of?
The color of black children in black families.
Which is an episode we
Refer to
have.
our colorism episode. Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to watch. Nothing that comes to my head specifically because I don't really look into things super hard like that. But yeah, I'm sure. I mean, my friend Martin, we talked about how like he stupidly went back in time and saw like racism and was like stupidly just running around like talking to white people. And I was
Right.
like, come on, like no black kid is that stupid. Like
Right.
any black parent is gonna be out like, yeah, like back in my day, you wouldn't be running around with little white kids like that.
Right. So just
Whatever.
or what? Oh yeah, because even in this movie, so like at the beginning, when Coach Boone's family is moving in for the first time, the wife goes, "Where is everybody?" I'm like,
Girl,
please
you
don't be
know.
acting like you don't know that the entire white neighborhood
Yeah.
isn't happy you're there.
Bro, like I didn't know this until I was moving here that our neighborhood used to have a block party every year and they stopped when we moved on the block. Like they
Wait, you're talking about your neighborhood in,
that I
in,
grew
in
up
Texas?
in Texas. Yeah. We were the black family and they didn't want to have the black family at the
In-
block party, so they stopped having
In 1990 what? Or in 2000 and what?
I was like 3 or 4 when we moved, so it would have been 97, 98 or something like that.
And your neighborhood just
Wait,
decided,
no, to 92, 93, 45, so 95, 96.
wow.
Yeah, so like I didn't know that until we had our first block party. It was a 4th of July party, and we did like a little parade. We all decorated our bikes and everything. And like my parents were like, "Oh yeah, like that's the first time they've done anything since we moved on the block." Like, and I was like, "Oh wow, what a coincidence!" And I was like, "It's not a coincidence," because we had nice white people that told us like, "Hey, watch out for these neighbors because they stopped having a block party when you guys moved on the street."
Are you joking me?
I am not. That is what happened, and I did not know that because my parents didn't want us to feel uncomfortable or not like our neighbors, so they didn't tell us that. Obviously, we're kids, so like they weren't going to tell us all that. But yeah, but I mean,
Wow.
like, we all had friends on our block. Like I hung out with my across the street neighbor, my next door neighbor, the diagonal neighbor. They were all French. Like it was fun. Like yeah, so I knew my neighbors. We were all friends, but apparently some of them were awful.
But see, that's the thing is like they're not always going to be, gun-toting,
No, yeah.
like
it's just
KKK wearing.
subtle things like that that you might not know until 20 years later.
Yeah, or like you mentioned that scene when later on in the film the assistant coach, the white coach, Will Patton's character, his daughter, played by Hayden Panettiere. She is hilarious in this. Actually, I think it was the first thing I ever saw her in.
Of course. Like what else would she have been in?
I don't know.
She wasn't a cheerleader yet.
So she's over at Coach Boone's house, which is a black family, and she's watching like the highlight reels
Of the games.
and she's of course ripping the coach a new one, just like
Yeah.
no defense or whatever. I don't know, sports shit,
Sports.
and of course they're having this cute little moment, and then of course a brick comes flying through
The
the
living room
window.
window.
Of course, apparently in real life it was a toilet.
A toilet. Apparently.
Well, apparently in real life, A, she wasn't that enthusiastic about sports.
yeah.
B, she never spent any time over at their house.
Mm.
And C, when something was thrown through Coach Boone's house, it was a toilet, not a brick, but the filmmakers decided that a toilet would be too
Comedic.
comedic. So this is the thing. Side note. The first time I ever realized that a based on a true story film was not 100% accurate,
Yeah.
I felt betrayed. I literally, it
I
was
agree.
the film October Sky starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and
Yeah.
I asked my dad, genuinely, so how did they know? And my dad was like, what do you mean? I was like, how did they know what they were saying if nobody was around? And my dad was like,
That's a good question.
what? And I was like, yeah, like how did the filmmakers know exactly what these guys said? And my dad was like, no, they made that up. And my tiny little heart was broken.
You were like, no.
I genuinely thought that a based on a true story film was 100% accurate. And I didn't. It's why I have trust issues. So moving on.
I agree. I thought that too for a while. Then I was very disappointed when I found out because they were like really cool stories, and then you find out it didn't happen like
Yeah.
that. And some of like the best parts are the parts they like put in,
Completely fabricated.
and you're like, well, why are we even watching this?
Right.
Why don't just make up your own story and say inspired by a true story, which is one where they're just like, oh, it's something like this, like Tag. It was
yeah,
inspired
Tag was
by a
like, they're
true
like
story.
inspired by like a nugget of something that really happened.
Where they take a grain of truth and they're like, let's make a movie.
Well,
But at least own it, you know?
and this film, actually, no, there was a film that did that. I think it like, was it Tag that opens up with like, this happened? Maybe, not really. Oh, no, I remember.
Yeah, it wasn't Tag.
It was a Christian film called Extreme Days that came out in like 99, 2000.
Oh, wow.
And it literally opens up with all of these events happened, except the ones that we made up to make it better.
What film is that?
It's funny. It's actually
Definitely
one of the
never saw
few
that.
Christian films I liked as a kid, and I should talk about that one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Remember the Titans, a brick comes flying through the window, and so Hayden Panettiere's character, she's scared. The rest of the family's scared, and then the coach comes over and later says something to like, what? Like, you endangered my daughter?
Yeah, well, because they were basically like the press was like on him and like, hey, like, what would you say to the person who like threw the brick through the window if you could talk to them? And he was like, I'd say like, I'm at home, you know where I am. Come talk to me in person. Like, come at me, bro. And then like he was like, then that white coach was like, hey, like your attitude is like it's conflicting. It's like it's confrontational and it's bringing negative energy to you, and you endangered my daughter basically. And he's all like, yeah, he's like, did your daughter like blah blah blah, I don't know what he said specifically, but basically like maybe you just got a taste of what I deal with every day, or
Right.
what my family deals with every day. And he just walked off, because you got to drop them statements and then you got to make that dramatic exit.
And it
he
was good.
Yeah, it was a good one. So.
And it's good because it calls attention to the more complex aspects of racism or bigotry or just privilege, which is to say, like, there are people back in the day, like they knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that there was something not biblical, not right, not humane, whatever religion they were. There was something not right about saying a black person wasn't human.
yeah,
So they at least had some footing in reality.
yeah,
But it doesn't fix all the other little things that are just generations of being told, like,
yeah.
I mean, and this is a horrible thing I'm about to reveal, but it just goes to show you, like, the type of things. But, like, I remember when Hurricane Katrina happened.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And in Texas, myself and a lot of other people in church, there was a belief, like, well,
Mardi Gras,
if-
they had it coming.
they had it coming. And it wasn't like we were explicitly thinking black people had it coming, but it was like, but those
those people who were debaucherous and like all this stuff happened.
Like
yeah,
they
I'm
deserved God's wrath.
Oh, I'm sure if San Francisco like burned down in a fire, a lot of churches would be all like, God
Yeah.
smote those gays, you know? So
And that's the small things. Like, one of the reasons I love this film is it was one of the first conversations I had about race. Like, me knowing that racism is bad didn't deal with the intricacies of like still judging people based on maybe not their skin, but histories of being told that those people acted a certain way. And so while they might not be less than, they did things that kind of deserve,
yeah,
what they got
going on.
So it still kind of puts us in the clear of like, now racism was bad, but they never would have been slavery or anything like that if they hadn't, done things to get themselves there, which completely negates the bullshit of like,
yeah, I think it's
no, we fucking took them.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people will argue like Africans sold Africans,
right?
And it's like a thing, yeah, but that doesn't mean just because.
But they always whip that out whenever someone's like,
just because somebody sells you a horse doesn't mean you work it to death,
right?
It just means, yeah, I sold you this horse so that it can help you, like, get around, and you're treating it.
Did you just
like
equate black people to horses?
But I'm saying, like in that time,
right? Which is what
they sold somebody like a slave, because slavery is in the Bible. Like a lot of slaves are like it's slavery. Slave wasn't necessarily a bad word then.
True.
But if you treated them badly, it was bad. Like it was like, oh yeah, somebody's a servant or a slave, but it's more like a slave was more of a servant, where it was like, yeah, like you take care of me, you're like my butler, like you do what I tell you. You kind of have to, but still, like, I'm not abusing you. I'm not mistreating you.
But there wasn't this complete dehumanization.
Human. Exactly. So when you, like, in that sense, like, I'm sure the Africans were, like, selling people as, like, yeah, this brings profit to us, and we're getting some people some help. Like, we're sending, like, maid service over to America.
Sure, that's what they were thinking.
Like, I don't know. But, like, and then they're bringing them over, and they're treating them, like, less than dogs, Yeah. And it's, like, that's not what the intent was.
And that's the thing that I don't think I think, like, our parents' generation, whenever they'll be like, man, it's like this, everyone the people who say I have black friends, which they're not awful human beings. We need to not be complete dicks to them. But those are the people that just, they don't get it when you try to explain something as simple as like, you can't say that, not because it's inherently racist, but because it's an assumption. It's just, there's just
yeah. Well, there's intricacies. That's the word of the day. But it's like Chelsea Handler did a documentary, like, special on, I think, Netflix.
Right.
Basically, kind of tackling like racism and systemic racism and kind of all that stuff. And she went and she talked to a bunch of black people, and she was like, okay, like, what do you think, like, needs to change? What do you think white people need to do? And they were like, everybody comes here and talks to us and asks us, what needs to change is white people. Like, you need to go talk to your friends and tell them the things that are happening, and they need to see it, and things need to change on that end.
Wow.
And then, like, that was halfway through, and, like, 3 different people in the documentary, like 3 separate people, told her that, and she was like, okay. So she goes,
I think this might be the thing.
Yeah. So she goes and talks to, like, some, like, rich, like, housewives in, like, Bev Hills, basically, and, like, it's their little, like, Sunday tea brunch thing, whatever, that they're doing in the backyard of their $1 billion mansion. And they're just like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. And she's like, so do you think like this? Do you think there's like a difference kind of in like what people are given or what? And they're kind of all just very much that mindset of like, oh well, yeah, like it's not that we're not racist. We don't have a problem with black people. We just think that maybe they don't appreciate the opportunities they're given. They maybe don't use them all, like blah blah blah. And she's like, well, do you understand that you all started on different footing? And she's like, yeah, but they do have opportunity to like blah 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 blah. And then like Chelsea's like, okay, yeah, I get that, but also like I've never, just to put it simply, I've never been pulled over by a cop and been afraid for my life or been like uncomfortable even.
Well, they wouldn't be afraid if they hadn't done something.
Well, no, because then
my God.
I mean, like, somebody, I don't think anybody said that outright, but one of the women, like, when she said that, immediately goes, Well, yeah, that's true. You do have a point. And then she flipped, and she wasn't necessarily on the other side completely, but she was
Right.
like, but there is truth to that. And her friends were like, well, no, like, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, but there is, like, I've literally never in my life been pulled over and wondered, like, what's going to happen, you know? And then, like, so the other two didn't really get it, but, like, that kind of, and it's,
Interesting.
like, those conversations that, like, I think that's more of what it is now, is a conversation where it's, like, if you can slowly, like, flip people like that and get people to kind of open their eyes,
Yeah.
like, that's what we need.
Well, you and I brought this up earlier, and I never finished it, but I said that you made a point when we were talking while watching the film, which is what we do. We don't actually watch the film; we just talk through it.
We've seen it.
But you made a point, which was because I mentioned back in first off, you were like, "Man, this is exhausting. Like racism is exhausting."
Yeah.
And back in the day, like because of the huge hurdle you were dealing with, like it must have felt like a victory just to get someone to at least like shake your hand and be kind to you and
Yeah.
just like treat you like a normal, like something normal.
Yeah.
Invite you over for dinner. Like that's a battle that was like, oh my God, like we won that. Whereas like nowadays we're knowledgeable enough that it's like, okay, we have a lot more things that we can now do. Like, okay, yeah, you have black friends? Great. Let's actually start dealing with let's ask ourselves
that,
about
yeah.
privilege and like what can
Yeah.
we do?
We can do the tweaking and fine tuning now.
And you said like really at the end of the day it's like sometimes we have to pick and choose our battle. Like nowadays not so much, but back then it's like would have had to pick and choose our battles until someone was ready to hear more, which was something you said. Which you're like, "Oh, I did?"
I'm pretty smart.
Which is true. Like I feel like a lot of people you must I mean, there must be that hard difficulty where it's like at the end of the day, you get tired of picking the battles with people
Yeah.
because you're just like walking on eggshells. Like, I don't even want to have to like, explain to you why this is wrong anymore.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
should, I guess, be asking yourselves.
And that's kind of literally what everybody in the documentary was saying. Like everybody she came up to, like, what needs to change? What's wrong? What is it? And they were like, I shouldn't have to talk about it anymore. Like literally for the last however many years we've all been screaming it. It's y'all's turn to listen and talk amongst yourselves and figure it out. You know.
So there you go. Ooh,
Look
got
at
a minute
that.
left on this. So last but not like, all right, quickly, what are your favorite things from this film? From Remember the Titans, the film we were talking about.
Gosh,
Sunshine.
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 Were you wanting me to talk about how attractive Sunshine is?
I just like that phrase.
Yeah.
I say that all
There
the
was
time.
a little bit of a gay kiss moment. It was cute.
Completely forgot about that.
Only thing I remember.
I
Not really. I do remember a lot of that movie, but I definitely remembered that. And apparently I wasn't fully awake yet because I did not remember how attractive that dude was. I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah. Actually, I love the cast of characters, which
Yeah.
is
They
what
were
makes
all really good. Yeah.
makes it hard whenever you realize like half of them didn't really exist or
Yeah.
act like that. But like all of the side characters, I mean, Donald Faison as that first moment of his like black power fist.
And he's like, put that hand down. Why you smiling? Oh, football's fun. Oh, football's fun.
Oh, football's fun.
You think football's fun? I think so. You think so? Is football fun or not? I don't know. No, football's not fun anymore. No, sir. No, football's no fun.
No, sir. How many times has Denzel Washington done that? I'm going to ask you a question. Now I'll repeat what you just said. And now I'm going to ask you
And then
again
you're gonna
what I
feel
just said.
stupid.
Now you're going to feel stupid. Now you feel stupid? Now you weren't stupid. But now you think you were stupid. Now I'm going to move on.
I'm done messing.
And you're
with
just like, did I win? Did I lose? What?
I think we all lost.
But we all win with Denzel Washington.
Exactly.
I mean, that guy's got a big cross to bear as being like, you know, he had to be like that one black actor that they were just like, oh man, we're going to make a movie about racism. Like
calling our black guy.
the one guy. No, I honestly, rewatching that film now, I was just, I loved the supporting cast. I think the actors all did a perfect job. Yes, is it kind of simplistic in its addressing of racism? Sure. Does it like have a bunch of like the, hey, we're okay white people characters, which is like not wrong, but it's like, okay, guys, we get it. Like Hollywood can't make a film about racism unless it has like that happy white guy.
But you do need to show, because there were people that weren't.
Yeah, but like every film
the
does
tie.
it, and you're just like,
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that's maybe I'm just Hollywood washed, where I'm like, that's realistic. Not every single person was awful, but
Yeah,
I don't
but
know. I
not
didn't live
every
in that
single
time,
person was
so
like super like.
I'll ask. My parents were around in the 70s, and so were yours, so we'll ask.
Well,
We are out of time.
Are we really cutting ourselves off?
I'm saying, like,
We don't want to talk 20 more minutes?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, now that the timer's off, we have to be careful because this is when we talk for 20 minutes.
I get. But
Speaking of a whole other topic we haven't talked about yet. No.
well, I liked the film, and I remember as a kid, my assessment of it was, holy shit, that was entertaining, even though it was a football film. And it was one of the first times that the idea of racism was brought to the forefront because, and this is the good thing about films like this. I know. Good thing about films like this as opposed to films like slavery, like, like the pre-Civil War type films where you're
Where
just
it was
like,
just outright slavery.
you're like, well, yeah, duh, that's evil.
Yeah.
Whereas like this film brought to the conversation like oh, wow, we were racist not that long ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for early 2000s, that was a good little slap in the face, little splash of water. And I think now the conversations are refining, so the media is refining to reflect that.
Right.
And I think it's that natural progression.
And I think there's some films we can look back on and be like, yeah, it's a little simplistic by today's standards, but I mean, Remember the Titans is a good movie.
Oh my gosh, it's a fantastic movie. My final thought is I really liked that. I want to see Remember the Titans cheer camp. I want to see the flip of it, not where the white and black team hate each other and have to go to football camp together and learn to like each other. I want to see black and white cheerleaders go and just be petty and catty and dropping each other and not catching for their stunts and all that stuff.
Oh my God. Actually, I would watch that too.
I want to see that.
I'd watch the hell out of that.
Bring it on, racism. That would be number 9, by the way.
Side note, at the beginning when they're first integrating and Kate Bosworth's character, who's also randomly in it, she's like the main white guy's girlfriend. She looks at all the black girls and goes, look at them. They hate us. And I was like, bitch, why?
Bitch, why?
Bitch, why you think?
But it's funny because they show like a bunch of white people like protesting them, and then it shows them, and she's like, they hate us. And I'm like, who's yelling right now? And then later on, who keeps walking away every time a black person walks up to you and is smiling and trying to shake your hand? Like, I think you got the hate backwards, girl. But there's hate all around. So let's not pick on this, and let's not go over our time. So
We're talking about what time? Hey, Benji,
anyways.
tell me about your week.
Oh my gosh. Where do I start?
Not here. Okay, so anything else before we wrap it up?
That is all. Let's wrap it up. This is why we go 20 minutes over.
All right. Well, be sure to like and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your
podcast. Make sure you give us a rate and review on
Hey.
Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Hit that bell for notifications. Share us with your friends
Ding,
and
ding.
family. Make sure you give us a comment if you like what we said. And if you have anything else to say, if you know us, give us a call or a text, and we'll throw it up there on our reviews for you.
All right.
And that's it. I'm Benji Jones.
I'm Josiah Rizzo.
And on Wednesdays,
We
we
wear-
have mustaches.
That was uncomfortable. Intricacies.
Yeah, wait. Oh, damn.
Intricacies. Wow.
No, I know what you're trying to say. I messed up too, though.
I can't believe I can't.
Somebody is screaming
At
right
the-
now.
at their car
Yeah.
speakers. Intricacies. Wow, what is it? What am I? I'm having a stroke over here.
No,
Intricacies. Intricacies.
Stop, because you're messing me up too. Because I can't get it if you're saying the wrong thing. Keep going.
Intricacies. Intricacies.
You're not. It's not gonna pull up.
Intricate is intricate. Oh my God, we're done.
Yeah.
It doesn't
no,
deal
move
with all the
on.
small
We're running out
detail.
of time.
It does-
Intricacies.
Intricacies.
Oh my God. Okay.